to bring the April 10th, 2023 Whitehall Township Board of Commissioners regular meeting to order. Please stand for Pledge Allegiance to the flag. Then we're going to do a moment of silence for the men and women in uniform, our first responders, and the people of Ukraine. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Sorry. Whitehall Township has an obligation to affirmatively further fair housing and to review all land use applications in accordance with federal civil rights statutes. This includes taking meaningful actions that overcome patterns of segregation and foster inclusive communities free from barriers that restrict access to opportunity based on protected characteristics. The township in its land use decisions does not discriminate against persons based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, disability, or familial status, and reviews all land use applications in accordance with federal civil rights statutes. Public comments made on the basis of bias and stereotype concerning people within these protected classes will not be taken into consideration by the township in its deliberations. I'd like to announce that we held an executive session on March 6th, and it was related to legal issues. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second Fisher.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Ginder? Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Swaniger? Aye. Commissioner
Yes.
and Commissioner
Warren. I'm going to abstain because I was not here.
Okay. And President Marks.
Yes.
Passes 5 ayes, 1 abstention, and 1 none here. Okay.
We have an exciting night. We're going to badge 2 police officers in Whitehall Township tonight. Officer Jordan Isaac and Officer Joel Moda. Chief Marks, front and center, please.
I'm going to comply with Ms. Bruder's request and utilize the proper microphone tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to once again address the board. As Commissioner Marks said, it's an exciting night for us here at Whitehall Township. Tonight I have the pleasure of introducing the newest members of the Whitehall Township Police Department. On July 5th, 2022, Jordan Isaac started his career with the Whitehall Township Police Department. After 24 weeks of police academy training, he is now in his final weeks of field training with the department. On March 27th, 2023, Joel Moda was employed by the township and is also now assigned to the Field Training Officer Program, along with Officer Isaac. Tonight, they stand before the Board of Commissioners and the public to take their oath of office. Joel Moda comes to the Whitehall Police Department via the Catasauqua Police Department, where he worked for the past 4 years, along with working part-time at several smaller agencies. Jordan Isaac has worked as a 911 dispatcher in Northampton County, an EMT, and has been a volunteer firefighter as well. We here at the department look forward to watching your careers progress as you serve the township with dedication and honor. I further want to welcome the Moda and Isaac families to our family here at Whitehall. This isn't always the easiest job. There are long hours, holidays that must be staffed, and night shifts to patrol when most others are in bed. All of these factors combine with dealing with a steady workload and difficult situations. This all contributes to a fair amount of stress in an officer's life throughout their career. But please know that Joel, Jordan, and all of you will have someone to lean on during the tough times and celebrate the good ones as well. The oath that Officers Isaac and Moda are about to take is the very foundation for wearing the badge, and thus they swear an oath to perform the duties along with protecting and serving this community. I respectfully ask Ms. Bruder to present the oath of office and ask their families to then come forward and formally present the badge of office to Officer Jordan Isaac and Officer Joel Moda.
Constitutions and laws of the United States and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the ordinances of the Township of Whitehall, and I will discharge with fidelity the duties imposed upon me as a police officer of the Township of Whitehall.
Gentlemen, Gentlemen, if the family would like to take pictures, please come up. Chief, stay up here for pictures. They love your shiny smile. You almost made it. And I want to personally thank the officers' families. They'll be well taken care of. We have great leadership here in Whitehall Township, and your young men are going to have a great tenure under the leadership we have here.
Chance to poke him.
Gentlemen, can you please come forward and just introduce yourselves to the board? We'd just like to shake your hands and greet you.
Congratulations, George. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Good job.
Treat our citizens and our guests well.
Home safe every night.
Look, our citizens already.
Thank you. Be well.
Thank you.
That's all right. Nice to meet you. Congratulations. That's smart.
Yeah.
One, two, three. One more. One, two, three. Look good.
Thank you.
No problem.
I want to thank the Isaac and Moda families for coming tonight. You're free to leave. You don't have to sit through all the proceedings unless you... Oh, he is. Okay, I'm sorry. Take your time. Not a problem. Take your time.
Start all over again.
Take as many as you want.
Oh, no.
One, two, three.
Yeah, it did.
Stay if you want. It's okay. Now we get the pizzas.
Okay, moving on, courtesy of the floor.
Lorian, Payno?
Lorianne Fainall, 3107 North 3rd Street, Whitehall. There's actually two things I want to bring to attention. One, Mayor Herrickle, you went to an elected school board member's house and you were asked to give a message to Chris Ginniger in zoning regarding an issue that there's actually a legal matter pending. Do you recall that, Mayor Herrickle? You went to Fadi Saloom's house and he asked you to give Chris Ginniger a message about his problem with his business, that he was in violation of our ordinance. No, just listen to what I'm saying before you cut me off. I'm just telling you. I think it's improper that you're doing that. He's asking you to deliver a message to a zoning issue that's a legal matter. I'm just telling you, I'm not.
You're just wrong.
Really?
There,
You were there, but you were asked to give a message.
talk to anybody.
You were asked to give a message to Chris Ginniger.
Give any message
You
to anybody.
did. Were you asked?
Very clearly.
Were you asked to give a message to Chris Ginniger? Were you asked?
Mayor,
And you were. You were asked to give a message. Just so you know, you are audio recorded and video recorded. You have no reasonable protection of privacy outside your residence, so don't deny it because there's proof. You need to stay out of that stuff. The second thing I want to bring to the board, obviously it's election season. You know, everybody's gonna be slinging the mud at each other, including the mud slung at me too. But I noticed on Mike Coca's website, relative to the mayor, had our township logo on his website, which could be perceived as an endorsement from this township. So I just wanted to make that on public record. I don't think that's right. I'm assuming it's probably very wrong to put the township seal on your campaign website, making it perceived as an endorsement of this township. So I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
and we received your information. I deferred to Attorney Gross, and he researched it. And from what I understand, Commissioner Warren told me the situation's been taken care of, and it's been taken down. Thank you. Okay.
No more.
Okay, that's it for courtesy of the floor?
I did receive a letter from Joanne Corey of 1251 Davis Drive. She couldn't be here tonight. I'll share the letter via email, but she has a couple bullet points that I would like to bring up, since it's timely. Shot Avenue, MacArthur Road concerns. Approximately within 100 yards of either side of traffic light, there are 6 ingress and egress points total. The Whitehall Plaza changes have significantly increased traffic with left and right-hand turns on Shot Avenue, causing more congestion to an artery-busy intersection, and vehicles are jumping the curb line into the shopping center, which is true. Traffic onto Mickley Avenue is also increasing, sending more traffic onto Mickley Road. Vehicles are cutting through the neighborhood of Hampshire Drive, and many are not stopping at stop signs on Hampshire. It's almost all times of the day. It is important that we make a left turn on Shot from Hampshire. Possible solutions: add plantings along the entire parking lot of Whitehall Plaza to prevent curb jumping. Make entry or exit from Shot Avenue one way only. Make exit from Dunkin' Donuts and entrance only onto Shot Avenue. Signage to restrict through traffic on Hampshire Drive. I don't know if we can do that. Adjust traffic lights to time better so that traffic moves more freely. I've heard from several people that the turning lane light onto MacArthur Road South is rather brief. It gets like 3 cars through and the rest of them are just trying to push that yellow light. So when they do the traffic signal upgrades, maybe that they can take a look at that. So that's why I'm bringing it up. It's timely. I'll go here. Mickley Road and MacArthur Road intersection, new plans for the Whitehall Mall is a concern for traffic. Daily, she's witnessed 3 cars and consecutives running the lights at Mickley Avenue. That goes back to that turning lane. Vehicles making the left turns from Rite Aid, add a no left turn, ingress and egress at Mickley. I've seen that happen. She said, in general, add more aesthetics to the storefronts and roadsides by adding some plantings and beautification of the shopping district. Also, please stop adding fast food restaurants, which we have no control over. And please bring more appealing retailers when filling existing shopping centers. So we have no control over that either, but that's all I have. I told her I'd share a couple points with her, and she sent me the letter, so thank you for your courtesy.
All right. Moving on, public hearing and voting on ordinances. Bill number 13-2023. This is a first hearing, so there will be no comment. An ordinance of Whitehall Township, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, repealing the storm water management ordinance of Whitehall Township, which was adopted on May 9th, 2007, as ordinance number 2671, and adopting in its place the Whitehall Township Stormwater Management Ordinance as amended for Whitehall Township. Bill number 14-2023, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a proposal for construction of 2023 CDBG ADA HC ramps, concrete curb, and sidewalk improvements in Whitehall Township. Contract number 2023-01, in accordance with section 3.20 in the Home Rule Charter, which requires authorization of acquisitions in excess of $25,000 by ordinance. Any questions from, do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Go ahead, Charles.
I'll move Fisher.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead, Randy.
Fisher, Tia. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Take your time. Yeah, I did.
Commissioner Fisher. Aye. Commissioner Attia. Yes. Commissioner Warren.
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Ginder.
Yes,
President Marks.
Yes.
Bill passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill number 16-2023, an ordinance deferring the required installation of sidewalks for 500 feet along the Chestnut Street frontage of 5101 Beekmantown Road as required in Chapter 21, Section 21-16 of the codified ordinances of Whitehall Township. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second Fisher.
We amended these since last week, just changed verbiage. And the verbiage is with the understanding that it will be reconsidered as part of the pending land development for this property. Both this and the next one are identical. Any questions from the board?
Can we just clarify a little more? In terms of, like, what exactly does this mean? How exactly are we voting on it?
Attorney Gross, can you explain in better detail, because
So originally, there was both a subdivision and land development plan submitted for this property. The developer requested to separate the two. So the only thing pending, and you'll see it's later on your agenda tonight, is the subdivision plan. Land development is still at the Planning Commission. So based on the conversation last week, I added this language to say that this deferral is only until the land development. Subdivision is up for approval tonight, you're only deferring until land development is up for consideration, and then you will reconsider the deferral at that point.
The only thing that's happening tonight is they want to transfer the property from Copley Aggregates to the new developer. And in order to do that, they have to file the plan and put the escrow up. And all this does is it eliminates the need to establish and escrow sidewalk and curb along Chestnut for just the transfer of the property. When the development goes back in, like Jack said, they'll have a fresh crack at everything.
So we will see this again?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
That's why it's crafted in such a way.
Okay.
And they'll need to request another, the language was designed to make it absolutely clear that they will have to request another deferral when they come to you for land development.
What is the timeline on this of like when they'll come back for that request?
I would think you'd probably see that midsummer, by the time it gets through planning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions from the board?
Yeah, the question I have, is this taking 4 individual lots and combining it with the, let's say, the landfill proper? The reason why I ask is, let's say if it's, let's say it's 2 different parcels. Let's say they develop the one that isn't contiguous to Chestnut Street. Does that negate them from having to address issues on Chestnut Street?
The larger tract, which has the Waterfield quarry and the one that they filled with fill, that all touches Chestnut Street from Sheets all the way back. The other property is presently Giles and Ransom, I don't know how to pronounce that one. The owner bought that whole property as well. That has frontage mostly on West Copley. So, and then both of those are getting developed together by the same developer. So what the subdivision / lot consolidation plan did is it lumped everything together, which is what you'll vote on later.
One massive parcel.
I think what's not be two yet, but still, it's cleaned up.
My concern is that they develop the one parcel that may not be contiguous to Chestnut, and that they're absolved from having to make improvements on Chestnut, so.
Pretty much, the parent tract is almost all Chestnut and West Copley.
Does this, suppose this deal doesn't go through, I mean, everything, I've been here a couple of weeks now, and sometimes they don't go with it, and sometimes they do. If we approve this, we can still use what's written in our overall thing saying, oh, you need to put it in at a later time.
Yes.
Okay, and again, I just don't want this to, oh, we did that, we got deferral, don't worry about it. But just for what the reasons are, I don't have that problem then.
I mean, if this deal doesn't go through, then like it's kind of irrelevant then, right? Because the existing owner still has the property.
Then they won't sell the property.
So nothing happens.
But this does not negate your ability to require sidewalk and or curb at any time.
It doesn't necessarily mean that we're agreeing to whatever could happen down the road. This is just step 1, consolidation.
This is a matter of semantics to let the property transfer go through without all that extra escrow that's not going to be used.
Sorry, I have to be a nerd here. Was there the property owner, did they receive a deferral on this originally, going back to whenever they bought this a long, long time ago?
I don't think that was even an issue back then, because they weren't really developing it. They're using, they're bringing in fill to fill the quarry, and so that wasn't considered, well, they wanted the land development, and it got really complicated, but that wasn't really part of it, because it was mostly a DEP mining permit.
Yeah, I won't belabor it. I might have questions later, but thank you.
Any more questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Schneider?
Ken Snyder, 4272 Abigail Lane. To follow up on what Commissioner Warren's talking about, I've not seen the plot plan. When you drive into the quarry, there's a road, whatever that street's called. Beepentown Road. Are these going to be 2 separate lots, one to the right of that and one to the left of that lot, that thing?
Now, the one lot will sit in front of the other one, okay? You know where Giles and Ransom is?
Yes,
Okay, you know that office building?
yes.
Okay, the office building is a separate tract, but the Giles and Ransom building is adding a little more property from the parent tract, that's Copley Aggregates. And then, they can, let's put it this way, they can exist on their own, but they're tied together through the roadway networks.
Right.
All right. But it won't, I'm trying to think of the best answer to your question.
Let me rephrase it.
Yeah.
So to follow up on what you're talking about, Lot A, Lot B, for the sake of discussion. Lot A has no frontage on Chestnut Street, therefore no sidewalk regarding Chestnut Street. Lot B has frontage on Chestnut Street all the way. I can, in theory, develop Lot A and never touch Lot B and never put sidewalk in because I don't develop it, because they're separate tracks at that point. So we could end up with sidewalk on,
We could still require it, Mr. Schneider.
but you can't, but you do the subdivision and you approved it, okay? My understanding is that you cannot require him to put in that sidewalk on the opposite lot until it becomes developed.
I believe we can.
The Board of Commissioners can at any time order any property owner in the township to install sidewalk and or curb.
Okay, now, Now, let's just say that's the case. There's a subdivision in Lower Fullerton where it was single-family dwellings. And there's a developer that did not put the sidewalks in, and you got sidewalk, no sidewalk, no sidewalk, and the township, and whatever happened, is hodgepodge. So when we talked about this in the workshop, my understanding was that it was going to be delayed until they come to the planning to do the two lots.
That's correct.
Okay.
Just so we're not reconstituting.
We're not, agreed, and I'm in favor of that, but I want to make sure that they're not going to come along and say, we're going to develop A, and B is not exempt. And then the other question is, since you brought up the other office, they're getting a parcel, will it be continuous that all three property owners will have sidewalk all the way through?
Well, that'll be decided during the development process.
So I'm going to do this again, A, B, and there's a parcel in between. Again, I can end up with sidewalk, vacant ground, and sidewalk, because the guy who currently is in the office isn't doing any development, he just adjoined property to him, therefore, he may not have to be required to put sidewalk in. And I'm only bringing this up.
Again, that's what I asked earlier.
I know you did, sir.
And that's what we can do, no matter whether they develop it or not. We could go ahead and tell them right now, if nothing happened, we could go ahead and tell them, you have to put in sidewalk.
I'm just being clear because I've seen this,
No,
I know.
and I know what you're saying.
Yes.
And we have that when streets are redone and we have our sidewalk god,
I
Mr.
understand,
Langler,
Commissioner Sloan.
go out and he's supposed to go ahead and tell us, hey, they should put it in here and whatnot.
Are the developers here tonight?
Yes.
So that they understand exactly what our goal is to somehow get a walkway and an improvement all along Chestnut Street and not develop one parcel and defer the other.
We had discussed that last week. I don't speak for the board, but I believe that it's necessary for there to be a continuous sidewalk. Now, there may be a situation where you're going to have to cross Chestnut Street to go to the south side of it to
I
get
understand
down.
that.
But I believe with the warehouse, and we required it on South Church Street at Columbia, this continuous sidewalk so the employees of the venue could get over to Weiss's for lunch or whatever it may be, our citizens, so they have a safe passage. So I don't speak for the board, but I truly believe that we need a continuous sidewalk through that corridor because of the truck traffic
Yes.
that is being proposed.
So what
And-
you're proposing is against normal protocol because you've always deferred the sidewalk until the parcel got developed. That's all I'm telling you. So when you do this tonight, you can in fact find
have the
yourself in a
ability.
situation where they come and develop A. Now, I don't want to be a pain in the ass, but as a developer, I can tell you there's ways around it. I transfer parcel A to you, Charles transfer parcel B to you, because I'm now subdivided, right? You want to turn around and do improvements on parcel A, B's a different owner, you have no control over that
We
owner
could
at
still
that point.
require it.
Requirement anytime,
We could require it at any time.
anytime. It's
I know.
that simple.
I've been a victim of that,
We
so I
don't have-
understand that.
We don't have to keep hashing, Ken.
Right.
Okay,
This-
I'm not.
this board
No,
has
I'm not
the
saying
right-
picked on, I said I
This
understand,
board has the right to require sidewalks at any time.
I'm good,
It's that simple. We don't have to
agree.
keep going over it.
Okay.
We have that right into the future.
I'm good, thank you.
Thanks,
Any,
Ken.
any more questions?
Well, just another comment from my personal experience. I had to get air in my tire from the Chestnut Street trailhead. I tried to ride my bike on Chestnut Street with the triaxles, and it was taking my life into my own hands, so
Absolutely.
it is a
Absolutely.
dangerous road.
Gave a parcel A to Commissioner Ginder and one to Commissioner Marks. Can I get a parcel?
The one with the sidewalk.
No, you're,
required.
Parcel?
any more questions?
Don't leave me out.
Can you please poll the board?
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher. Aye. Commissioner Tia,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
President Marks.
Yes.
Bill passes 5 ayes, 0 nays, 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, this is very similar in scope. It's almost like, well, it is identical to the last bill. Bill number 17-2023, an ordinance deferring the required installation of sidewalks for 1,200 feet along the Chestnut Street frontage of 5101 Beekman Town Road as required in Chapter 21, Section 21-16 of the codified ordinances of Whitehall Township. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second Fisher.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? At your discretion.
Commissioner Attia? Yes. Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye, and President Marks.
Yes.
Bill passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Public hearing and voting on resolutions. Resolution number 3247, a resolution authorizing the disposal of specific township records in accordance with the township's record retention and disposal schedule. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion. Warren?
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, Jack, just to confirm, these are mostly police records and logs?
They're all police records,
Okay.
yeah. And it's all within the
State
Records
requirements.
Retention Act, yeah.
Any more questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Attia?
Yes.
And President Marks.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 3248, a resolution extending the deadlines of conditional approval of the major subdivision/land development plan of Eagle View Towns located at 5266 MacArthur Road, Whitehall Township, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, index number 1884-16. Provided under resolution number 3005 on February 12th, 2018. So this will be an extension of that subdivision land development. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Attia?
Yes.
President Marks.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 3249. A resolution conditionally approving the lot consolidation/major subdivision plan of proposed industrial development Greystone Capital, index number 1998-22. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Warren.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor?
Let the developers come forward.
Yeah. Is anyone here, is anyone present for the developers? Would you like to come up, sir? Please say your name and address, title.
Good evening. My name is George Brosman. I'm an attorney from 910 Harvest Drive, Blue Bell, Pennsylvania, representing the applicant. This is our engineer, Alec Nahas, with Bowler Engineering. Thank you for having us tonight. We have this proposed development. I heard the discussion earlier about the sidewalks. Mr. Clark and Mr. Gross very accurately summarized that we're just here for the subdivision. We've been working closely with the Planning Commission on that and the land development plans. But as Mr. Clark said, we're seeking to get just the subdivision approved so that we can go ahead and purchase the property, and then we're going to come back, we hope, soon with the land development plans to the Planning Commission and ultimately appear before you with the full land development plans. And I took very good note of what you were saying about the sidewalks, so we'll be prepared to discuss that then as well.
Thank you. Do you have anything to present?
No, but we can go over the plans if you like and answer any questions, but nothing
The
new.
wish of the board, or? Okay, yeah, if you could.
Sure. So while Alec is getting the plan, it's a two-step process, a lot consolidation and then a subdivision, and the subdivision will allow the transaction to take place. I can be your easel, Alec, if you want to just, or maybe I can just do it. Is this a good place to stand?
Yeah, that's fine. And if you could show the,
Back to everyone?
yeah, if you could show the gallery then too, to to clarify things.
If I do it like this.
Yeah, if you could just go both ways then.
So, this is Copley Road in Chestnut. Copley Road in Chestnut. This is the water area that people were familiar with. And this is Beekmantown Road. So this is the lot consolidation plan, and Alec, chime in if I'm saying anything, but there's presently three parcels, these little slivers of land along Beekmantown, and then this larger parent tract. So the consolidation will merge these smaller parcels all into one piece. And then the subdivision plan, once that is done, step 2 is to simply draw a line between the water feature and the quarry that has been filled, and that's where the land development will be taking place. Our client is also in front of the township and the planning commission about the Giles and Ransom site, and we've been trying to put the plans together, come together with them, because they obviously relate to one another being so close. So that's what we're trying to achieve this evening, so we could do that. Did I get that right?
Yeah, nothing to add.
Well, thank you.
Are these primarily for warehouses, and is there decision on what, could it be industrial? Is there a plan for what type of warehousing at this point?
All I know at this time is it's warehouse. I don't know if a user has been identified at this point.
Can you clarify, we were told that this would not be a distribution center. This would be more warehousing or transfer, is that
My
correct?
understanding is that distribution is not permitted in the OS2 district.
That's right.
And that's what we were led to believe, but
Yeah.
we just wanted to, I wanted some clarification on
Yep.
that.
Yeah, and the ordinance was brought to our attention that in this zone, the distribution facility is not permitted, but a warehouse is. So when we were at the zoning hearing board deciding what, basically what level to let the fill go to, we also addressed that and could clarify that we were proceeding under the warehouse.
Now, you're an attorney, can I put you on the spot?
Sure.
What's the difference between a distribution center and a warehouse?
It's a defined terms in your ordinance. The definitions are pretty close. I don't have them in front of me, but the distribution center, as I read the definition, allows for a couple of extra activities, but they're similar. I can look them up. I have it on my iPhone.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, I was just trying to get some clarification for the gallery. No, I
Yeah.
wasn't.
There's specific definitions for each term in the Whitehall Township zoning ordinance, so the definition for warehouse would have to be met. And of course, that would have to be confirmed with the township and the zoning officer and all of that.
I'll put him on the spot. What exactly do you envision this becoming? Like, what is this warehouse going to be? Like, is this going to be an industrial manufacturing type facility? Is this going to be, I know where he's saying it's not a distribution center, but then what exactly is it?
I'm probably not the right person to speak about it. We didn't have another person here that may know more, but my understanding is primarily, a storage facility. I haven't heard that there's manufacturing involved.
Is this the project that received the variance for height of the warehouse?
Yes.
All right, is this something like a cold storage facility? Would that, no, okay. I think we do have a residential property. I know it sits up on a hill, but it's pretty quiet now in the evenings. And so anything like, that would significantly create noise would be a concern for the residents, and I'm just throwing that out there as something to consider.
Understood, and we're aware that when we're at the zoning hearing board, and one of the nice things about the project is it will eliminate all of the, the heavy activities associated with the fill, but we agreed and got a condition set with the zoning board as to the specific level of the fill, which will be significantly lower than those residences, so even with the height variance, the building will be much lower than it would have been, obviously, if the quarry had been brought to grade of the surroundings. So we think it'll have minimal impact because of that.
For the benefit of the participants, the residents here, the type of warehouse, the type of facility, distribution center versus not impacts the traffic and the impact to adjacent roads. So that's what I'll be looking at down the road.
I know this is sort of like preliminary, but do you know, is this going to have ground chillers or is this going to have roof units? Because my only concern is if it has roof units, even though it's going to be down in a bowl and below grade and be below the mound, are the people that live in that development going to be subject to, you know, the drone of roof units? Or do you know if they're going to have ground chillers? Do you?
I can't speak to whether it be rooftop units or ground chillers, but I can reiterate the point that was made previously that even likely with rooftop units of a significant size, it would still be well below the neighboring residences, not only buffered by, you know, existing and proposed vegetation, as well as just the height of the former quarry walls that are, this development's being set down in.
We have an expert here, you know, in the mechanical trunk contracting business for an awful long time, and we know, especially when units start to get older and they start to fail, that they can become very obnoxious.
They can echo down in that quarry.
Yes,
It's like going
Yes.
down in that quarry and shooting a shotgun, you're gonna get a hell of an echo out of it.
right, right.
And we have to be careful of that.
Sure, understood, and I know our client even mentioned at the zoning hearing, he would consider supplemental plannings up on top to help. And we had some nice graphics we showed that we could bring back at land development, showing the section views from the residences, so hopefully you'll find that compelling when we come for land development.
Now, getting back to,
Try to address those.
getting back to my original question, do you have an expert here who can sort of give us some insight on the difference between distribution and warehousing? Because,
I think I should just, I'll pull it up and read the definitions in your ordinance.
but I don't want to put him on the spot. Mr. Gettinger, would you like to comment at all, or you're?
No, I think the applicant's attorney has it.
Okay.
It is a minor distinction between the two definitions, and to Commissioner Warren's point, traffic's one of the major issues.
My only concern is, how do you police this? I mean, I'm sure they're going to be good corporate citizens, but my point being is, I don't understand what the difference is. I mean, if there's trucks in and out and there's merchandise in and out or whatever it may be, what's the difference? I understand that there's a definition, but how do you
Regulate the number of trucks.
regulate, well, not the number of trucks, not the number of trips. How do you regulate exactly what activity's taking place there once the venue's, you know, opened and, do you understand what I'm getting at? That's my only concern, you know.
Yeah, I can tell you that we've been working closely with the township on the traffic issues. We're aware of that, so hopefully when we come for land development, we'll have satisfied the township and the consultants on those points.
Fair enough. Any other testimony?
No, sir.
Any questions from the floor? Any more questions from the board?
I mean, I hate to be that guy, but, you know, I mean, I see warehouses all over the Lehigh Valley, and I see a lot of empty warehouses all over the Lehigh Valley. Is this gonna wind up just being another high-tech advanced warehouse in Whitehall that's empty? And I don't know, I don't think, I'm not expecting an answer, I'm expecting the pro forma answer. Maybe it's a rhetorical question, but, you know,
I know my client hopes not, but
we don't know, we feel the same way.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Can you please poll the board?
Commissioner Ginter,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
President Marks.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank
You're free
you.
to go unless you want to stay.
I'm
You
going to
can
take you
entertain
up on that, thank you.
All right.
Have a nice night.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Resolution number 3250, a resolution authorizing Whitehall Township to satisfy the judgment of MJ-31107-CV-0000006-2023 against Robert J. Gansey and Kathleen F. Gansey. Do I have a motion? Don't everybody speak up.
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second Fisher.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Gittinger? Mr. Ginder's request, he'd like to
Yes, I
give...
was asked to be here in case there were questions.
Yeah, Mr. Ginder, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, what all happened here and what all transpired?
This was a
Were the
situation.
questions asked at the workshop?
Yes, this was a situation where an enforcement action was filed for running a trucking or a tow truck business and parking a commercial vehicle on a residential lot. The Ganseys, for whatever reason, chose not to file an appeal to the zoning hearing board promptly. A judgment was entered in the district court for the first round of the violation. A second civil enforcement action was then filed, and a judgment was entered on the second one very close to the time that the zoning hearing board had its hearing and announced its decision. The zoning hearing board denied the variance relief to allow this to continue. However, the president of the zoning, or chairman of the zoning hearing board, made a comment during or after the voting, which was subject to various interpretations, although the following month he disclaimed and said his comment had nothing to do with enforcement. Bottom line is, the property is in compliance, which is our ultimate goal. The first judgment was $500 plus costs. That judgment will satisfy the costs the taxpayers incurred, probably short a little bit of attorney's fees in the matter. As the property is in compliance, there's no need to enforce the second judgment because zoning ordinance enforcement is not a revenue component of the government. So this seemed to be a reasonable proposal to resolve the matter since the property is in compliance, if that helps you understand.
Any more questions? Any questions or comments from the floor?
I'll just make a general comment. Often I hear questions from the public. Why is that resident allowed to have this on their property and I'm not allowed to have it on mine? That's a truck with business lettering. Looks like they're operating a business off their property. My vehicles don't have any lettering. I don't understand. I don't have an answer for them when they ask that question. I don't think you probably don't hear either, but.
We do the best we can, following up every complaint we get. And
But if you see something, if you drive by and it looks like you're not just following up on complaints and driving by a property that looks like it's like a business, are you?
no, we're usually dispatched on complaints. If I stopped every time I saw a violation,
You never get home.
no, I'd never get here.
Okay.
It's just, there are not enough hours in the day to stop and write down everything you see that's a violation.
All right, fair enough. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gittinger. Any more questions? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker? Aye. Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Attia?
Yes.
And President Marks?
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 3251, a resolution accepting a future roadway dedication for the Riverside Drive Raise Grant Project. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Warren.
Do I have a second? I'll second. Mr. Attia. Any questions from the board?
I want to thank Jack for all your work, putting it together, and the mayor and the board members for getting a resolution that we all can agree on here, I think,
Yeah, I think it's the best that we could,
at this point in the ballgame.
yeah, at this point in the ballgame. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Ganti. Have a good night. Any questions from the floor? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Attia?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker? Aye. Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
President Marks?
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
resolution number 3252, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an indemnity agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for Lehigh County parcel ID, and I think they're punking me. 5498280185530 for highway occupancy permit application number 271431.
Are you sure of the long number you read?
Listen, I do my best.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second Fisher.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Don't ask me to repeat this number again. I can't do it. Can you please poll the board?
Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Dia?
Yes.
Commissioner Swaniker? Aye. Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
President Marks?
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Now I have to do this all over again.
Do it a couple times.
Yeah. Resolution number 3253, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an indemnity agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for Lehigh County parcel ID number 5498282088392 for highway occupancy permit application number 271431. Do I have a motion?
I'll move Fisher.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Attia. Any comments from the board? Any comments from the floor? Whenever you're ready.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Attia?
Yes.
Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
Commissioner Swaniker? Aye. Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
President Marks?
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Here we go again. Resolution number 3254, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an indemnity agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for Lehigh County parcel ID number 5498271985526 for highway occupancy permit application under number 271431. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any comments from the board? Any comments from the floor? Whenever you get around to it.
Commissioner Swaniker? Aye. Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Attia?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
President Marks?
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 3255, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an indemnity agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for Lehigh County parcel ID number 5498273641102 for highway occupancy permit application number 271431. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Mr. Yep, do I have a second?
I'll second Fisher.
Any comments from the board? Any comments from the floor? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Attia?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Swaniker? Aye. Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
And President Marks?
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Mr. President, if I might, could I make a request that all four of these be signed tonight, so I can submit them to PennDOT tomorrow?
I'm exhausted from reading. We'll get to it when we get to, no, yes.
You can call bingo, yeah.
I did that last week, so.
There you go, okay.
Yeah, we'll get that resolved.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, under other, a motion to approve the appointment of Karen Pashefko. Did I get that right? Okay. To serve on the Whitehall Township Environmental Advisory Council, term expiring December 31st, 2026. Do I have a motion?
I'll move Fisher.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Warren.
Any questions from the board?
I just want to say, I've worked with Ms. Pashevko on EAC for the last few months. I'm wildly impressed with what she's been doing. She really internalizes the spirit of what EAC is trying to do and is really trying to go above and beyond. In addition, she is Mario Spangaletti's daughter. So, you know, it's really continuing on the tradition and legacy of the Spangaletti family. So, just want to say she has my vote.
Perfectly said, thanks, Chuck.
I totally concur. I mean, she's a legacy. Any other comments from the board? Any comments from the floor? Ma'am, please come up. I know who you are, so
Yeah, I know you are, but they don't.
if you could just state your name and address, please.
Deborah Rosine, 4408 North Church Street, Whitehall. I am the current president of the Whitehall Township Environmental Advisory Council. And thank you very much for approving Karen. I just wanted to come here and check to see, do you have all of the information that you need to approve additional candidates?
We're
who have
waiting for
submitted?
resignations, official resignations that get to the township secretariat. As soon as they're put in place, then we can appoint more to your body.
Okay, so you want a copy of the actual emails that were
Yes,
sent
whatever
to
you have, just them announcing that they resigned their position on the EAC, so we could move forward and get them voted upon.
Okay. I have two people that were, they resigned in the meeting. I have witnesses to that effect.
We need something in
Well, they just
writing.
write a note and
Yeah.
give that note to Larissa that there's a formal note here that these people are not
Yeah,
on the committee anymore.
those were from
As long as
2021.
Larissa has
Right.
that note, then she can let us
Right.
know that we can go ahead and fill that.
We just need some official documentation, that's
Okay.
all we need.
Not a
Alrighty?
problem. I'll
Okay.
provide that.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Ginder,
Yes,
and President Marks.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 ayes.
Motion to approve the appointment of James Schultz to serve on the Whitehall Township Recreation Commission term expiring December 31st, 2026. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I would just like to say, Mr. Schultz interviewed, he's an impressive gentleman. He serves proudly at Shot Avenue. What's that? Oh, okay. He does a phenomenal job over at Shot Avenue, and he's dedicated and loyal, and I'm grateful that he stepped up. Any other comments from the board? Any comments from the floor? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes,
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Warren? Aye. And President Marks.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Reports of public officials, Board of Commissioners. I guess I will start down there, Mr. Attia.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I know the families are gone, so I just wanted to congratulate them anyways, all the police officers that we swore in today. But I also want to thank Chief Marks, just for running a first-class police department, but also I know that process and talking to him a little bit about it, it's a lot. So I just want to thank Chief for doing that. It looks like we got 2 really good officers to add to the force today, so thank you. The other thing I'd like to just quick do, I believe Mr. Tony Coca, our rec director, is officially phasing out, I believe, in the next week or two, or, we had a meeting with him last week, and he said it most likely would have been his last one. He could still potentially show up for another one, I'm not sure.
He'll be around for a while yet.
Okay, I didn't know if he was done. I wanted to just thank him for, for his time. He's done a lot, and I wanted to make sure I made note of that. So I wasn't sure if he was done, so I'll hold off on that, but that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Fisher.
I have a few things tonight. So one question that was brought up to me, so last week, we talked a little bit about health inspections in the township, and that would require putting together a health board. And I know we'd had discussed this at L&L for quite a few months, and I mean, it was the will of the board that at this time it not go forward. But I was wondering if there could be other mechanisms in place that could help aid some of the food inspection type things. So I mean, we do have fire inspectors going out, we do have zoning inspection, we do have property inspection, and I guess I wanted to direct this question towards Jack, and I can see him thinking. Would it be possible for, Jack Gross, sorry, would it be possible for, if we have inspections on site and they clearly see a health violation, to report that to the state, even if they're not there for health inspections?
I can certainly investigate that matter. I think it would, well, let me investigate it rather than giving an answer.
No, I understand. Yeah, my only thought on is if there's a place clearly not in compliance, if this could be an additional mechanism to get them in compliance, if you have a township official on site to help with that. So, just a thought.
Understood.
Okay, thank you.
Are you referring to making a referral to the state?
Making a referral to the state, because right now what happens is the state handles the health inspections in Whitehall, and for all municipalities that don't have their own local health board, and it can take a while for the state to rotate through all the different restaurants and eating establishments in Whitehall. So if, we have somebody on site anyway for a different reason, and they clearly see there's like, scum and dead chicken heads, I don't know, in the kitchen or something, something that's clearly an egregious violation, just something to think about. Okay. So the second thing I want to say, I've reached out to Watikta regarding some EV grants. I was hoping that Lee was here tonight, but because she's the one who actually passed the idea on to myself and Commissioner Ginder, that Watikta might actually be a really good mechanism to be able to go forward with advertising to some of the local businesses regarding, some of these EV grants. I actually got a response back from Watikta, and they may be willing to work with us. So I'll liaison through that, and maybe we can, push this forward. Because if the township as itself can't put in EV chargers, I think it'd be really great if we could at least help facilitate that in other businesses in the township. Okay. Second thing I have, and this is the fun thing, Birdtown. So, yay. Okay. Deb, I also want to just say, I'm sorry I didn't see you beforehand when I was working the crowd. So if you were here and I didn't shake your hand, I'm really sorry. But I wasn't ignoring you, I just didn't see you. We talked last month, the EAC is going to be coming forward to the May workshop to give a presentation on Birdtown as part of the application process. So be prepared for that. April 22nd, this is the big one. There is a big cleanup down on Jordan Creek Parkway, next to the Home Depot. This is being sponsored by the Environmental Advisory Council. There will be food. That's from 9 until 11? 9 until noon. The more volunteers we get, the better. We are expecting a bumper turnout this year. Myself and several other commissioners have been there the last few years. It is a lot of work. There is a lot of gunk and stuff and litter we have to get from the bushes.
Yeah, I'd like to report, and this is great news, because many of us...
Please come up, I'm sorry, you're going to have to come up.
Many of us have been upset about the encampment dump that has occurred under the 22 overpass. And I was down there earlier today, and I was happy to report that PennDOT has finally come with a contractor to clean it up. There was a lot to do. Spoke to them personally. They said they thought they'd probably be there for at least 4 days, cleaning up what's down there. And we saw 6 new signs for no trespassing that was put up by PennDOT today, as well as PennDOT is going to fence off that area on where there is the embankment that goes up. They're going to completely fence it off so it's not accessible at all. And they're going to add a lot of additional rock, big rocks that would be kind of difficult to walk on, lay on, whatever, on the other side of the path. So let's hope that this detours any future activity in that area.
This is really good news, and I really want to thank Deb for her work on this, several of the commissioners and the mayor for really pushing this forward. So I mean, this is good, and I really hope the time comes where we don't have to do a cleanup down there every year.
Yes, and
But
we
it's
can
just-
feel safe when we're
Yeah.
down there on Earth Day too, which was a big concern. We didn't want families coming down there and seeing that.
Cool, thank you. On the absolute last thing I have, sorry. Absolute last thing I have, and I brought this up last month, and I really kind of want us to consider this, and I have some more ideas, and we don't have to talk about them tonight, but I really do believe that we should, as a township, be looking into some sort of an informational email list, something maybe like some sort of a monthly publication that can go out that would supplement, not replace, the current township newsletter. There are a lot of events that I've seen that kind of overlap. And I think it could just be a communication issue. I say, like, on April 22nd, there's going to be the Whitehall Historic Preservation Society is doing a tour of Egypt, and I'm really sad to say it's on the same day as the Earth Day thing, and I really wanted to do the tour of Egypt. So unfortunately, I don't know if it was a miscommunication or just, I think it would help if we all have a better idea of when stuff is. And I mean, I live and die by my phone. I have email records in my phone. If I need to look stuff up, it's in my phone. The township website is great. It is wonderful. I go there, but I also very heavily rely on email systems. So, I mean, I have a lot of experience with this. I mean, I'd be willing to work with the township to try to put something together. If it's not like through the township, if it's not through like administrative staff, maybe it could be through like a volunteer group. Just like, it's not a hard thing to do. I have run multiple email lists, and I really do not believe it would be that difficult.
I know a commissioner retiring in the near future.
Really?
Yeah, and he's sitting right
Phil.
over here.
Phil.
Well, him too.
Okay.
Both of you.
Okay, Phil.
You could be our information directors, or whatever you would like to call yourselves. Czars. Czars.
Information czar.
Czars, yeah, we'll title you czars.
And I spoke too soon. Okay. Yeah, I'd be happy to help out. I would absolutely be happy to
Appreciate
help
that. And I agree, I think it's a good thing, and I think it gets more information out there, because the newsletter's only quarterly, and I think a monthly would get people up to speed more.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
That is all I have.
That's all?
And I will yield my time back to the board.
Can I
Yes.
just
Sure.
interrupt for a moment to note that through the efforts of a lot of people on the EAC, we have today Colleen Ansbach, the manager of the mall, was looking for an opportunity to get their people on that site to come and help in the community. And so I told her about the coming 22nd, and she's giddy about it. So looks like we're going to get another group that's going to be involved.
That would be fantastic.
Let's clean up the mall, too.
Yeah. It's better than it was a
Yeah,
year ago.
I'd like to compliment management down there, because I work down there a lot. I do retail maintenance, and the new, I'm not taking anything away from the old management team, but the new management team is being, I believe, very proactive. And, COVID was challenging for a lot of reasons, and I'm not gonna go there, but I think things are getting better. They're improving. So let's just keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully we can all work together to make this a better, cleaner, safer community. All righty, Mr. Ginder.
Yeah, I spoke with the mayor about getting the rail trail road crossing gates moving, and he directed me to Chad Helmer, our grant writer, who directed me to Sheldon, who's in charge of our public works. I sat down with Sheldon, and he was going for a grant to do repairs to the rail trail, the macadam, the roadway. There's places tree roots have pushed the trail up, and hard to believe that trail's been paved for 20 years now, and a little longer at some places. It's hard to believe time goes. But anyway, Sheldon suggested we put these gates on with that grant and see where it goes. And there's two gates over in Copley too, which he felt we would add to it, because, not with the expense of it, but because by going with two municipalities, it looks better for the grant agencies when municipalities cooperate. So, my understanding, it's filed, we'll see where it goes.
Do you mind if I cut in there for
Go
one
right
second?
ahead, darling.
Chief Marks, me and Chief Marks had a discussion the other day. I was over in, I don't even know, was that Hanover Township, I believe? Allen Township? They put breakaway units on their trailheads at, egress points. And what they can do is, I don't know, Chief was gonna check it out
Yeah,
on the weekend.
I stopped the other day when I was over there.
Did you see what I was talking about?
Yeah, it's probably something necessary. I know we've talked about gates on the trails for rider safety for a while. But Commissioner Marks brought up something that I didn't think about either, was getting cop cars and ambulances onto the trail with the gates in place. So they have a nice little system. I wasn't able to obviously take it down or anything because it was locked, but I stopped over at Allen Township there by the old juvenile detention center. And it seems like it's a decent system to be able to fold flat, allow vehicles to get on the trail, unlike some of the other ones I have seen that are pretty much mounted in, stationary, and there's no way to get emergency personnel onto the trail if somebody falls, has a health issue, whatever the case may be. So it's definitely something we want to keep in mind when we move forward with it.
The gate we chose, the Rail Trail Committee really looked at, was the gate they used in Palmer Township. I can forward you a picture of it.
Okay.
It's a very simple gate. It will cover approximately a little more than 3/4 of the trail. So you really got to stop and go around the edge. It doesn't cover the whole trail. And it's just as simple of pulling a pin and the gate will rotate away. You don't have to lock it. You just simply pull a pin and the gate rotates either way. And then you can drive, go do what you want to do. Close the gate behind you, the pin will latch it. We can lock it if we want to get that far, but we really don't want to put locks on them because of emergency management and stuff. Now, North Whitehall's been locking theirs with a combination lock, but they don't have a police department. They have state if something happens, and their trail's very short. But we looked at that as being a design, very simple, when they snowplow, when they go in, Public Works goes in, empty garbage cans, police have to get in, ambulance has to get in. It's just pull the pin, the whole arm rotates. It's a very simple thing.
I think that's great.
Yeah, it's very simple. All right, somebody's gonna leave a gate open now and then. There's enough people from the Rail Trail Committee, there's enough people that use the trail that have common sense. Close the gate if you see it open.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. So as long as we're considering
No,
that.
we did consider that, and that came from Chief Kohuth years ago. He was very concerned that we don't get into something locking and something that the police and ambulance can't get in there if they had to.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
And that's why we chose this one. I'll send you drawings of it.
Okay.
So you know what's coming.
Perfect.
Okay. So anyway, that's where we are with that, and Sheldon is going to be working on, I guess Frankie's gonna have to get you involved in this. We've talked about for years and haven't gotten it done, flashing lights at some of these crossings. Not all of them, but like South Church Street up in the Egypt section across the PennDOT Road. Some of these intersections should have flashing lights, and I guess you're gonna have to do a little bit of studying with it. Sheldon, if he didn't get a hold of you yet, will, because he needs your recommendations. That will not go with this grant, that will have to go a grant in the future, because it's gonna take some time to get.
PennDOT has specific rules for flashing
Yep.
lights. Any kind of flashing traffic device has to be approved by PennDOT. Of course, it's their road, so they have a couple different recommendations.
Well, Sheldon said he would be in touch with you, but that grant will happen later in the year, maybe in the next year. If we can't get that all done, because this is gonna take some money from your side. So that may have to go through budget first, I'm not sure. But anyway, we're at least talking about some of these things and trying to get them done now. Rec Commission Comprehensive Plan update. We have a new rec director. How fast are we gonna get moving on this? There's people that are just, I don't wanna be part of this anymore. It's been dragging on for a year and a half now with nothing.
We have, as of today, Chad has been in touch with the state regularly. Today, he talked with them, and they're telling us go ahead. And so I will be scheduling at the end of this month, the first meeting that we're going to move forward.
All right, last month we talked about the Leonard Street Barn, the Hunziker Barn, the Recreation Department facility now, and the commissioners met on a Saturday to walk through that facility. There were a lot of questions at the end of the day. What are the plans going forward with that barn? I won't talk for the other commissioners, but some of the things that came up were just how much money do we plan on putting into this barn? And before we put a lot of money into this, because of what it is, and should the Public Works really be in that barn doing the things they do? And between fire and health hazards and emergency access and all the other things that have to go into a workplace today, handicapped bathroom facilities and things like that. Or should we be looking at putting another small Public Works building somewhere?
Recreation and Public Works. Yeah, recreation.
I'm sorry, recreation building Doesn't have to be fancy, maybe a pole building, something like that, and to get that recreation into a decent facility and not be wasting money in the meantime. So I don't know where we are with what we have budgeted and how far to go through over there, and I know it's held up now for drawings to do things, but I don't know, other commissioners speak to this, please. You know, it's an old barn, and, you know, do we want to spend this kind of money to put guys in there working with electric tools and torches, and you need emergency lighting in there, you need fire you need everything and its brother in there, plus then go to heat it. You know, it's not a building that's designed to really be heated. It's like heating Yankee Stadium when you really look at the building.
We've had talks.
They are now relocated onto the campus here. We cleaned out that area that was part of the new outbuilding that we had. That's a workshop, you know, that the skilled tradesmen can work out of. And they're no longer in that Hunsaker barn doing work other than coming to get their equipment and leaving. So those issues of compliance and with plumbing, electrical, and all that stuff is a moot point right now.
Are we going forward with any of that
No,
stuff?
we've stopped the,
We're spending $1,100 a year on a porta-john that our police use. The concept with that restroom there would be an entrance from the inside that's lockable, an entrance from the outside that's lockable.
Rather than go through all of that, why don't we just give the police a key to the Peter Grimm house to use the bathroom? I mean, if we can't trust the police department with a key.
Well, let's start there.
Then it's.
Let's get a water system
all-
that's
well,
functional there,
let's-
instead
let's-
of beating around the bush.
Let's get a water line in there then, but, you know, if the police use that as a facility to go to the bathroom when they're down in that area in an emergency, that's fine. But why, there's the Peter Grimm house, give them a key that they can go in there, and if they have to use the facilities in an emergency, they're right down there, and let them use the Grimm house instead of putting thousands of dollars into that old barn.
But I still think it's useful
Now,
for.
in the meantime, where rec has been moved now, is this where we plan to keep them?
for the time being.
For the time being until future can be found. That's my point, I guess. Are we gonna keep dumping money into that Hunsaker barn for no apparent good reason? Or are we gonna hold off on it? Get the rec department settled in some type of quarters for now? And look at this in the future down the road and get them into some type of permanent, modern facility. And in the interim, I mean, there's things like gas containers stored in that building that aren't even in a metal cabinet. They're just sitting out in the building. I mean, stuff like this just shouldn't happen in this day and age. You know, and if we're gonna address this in the future, then I will drop this, but, you know, at this point, I can't see dumping any money into that barn. But I would rather put that money into the Grimm house and get a proper water line in there. And if the police need to use that as a facility to stop, give them keys to get into there.
Let the chief see if that's adequate for them. They just want, I mean,
I honestly don't know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Well, I figured, but this conversation came up and I was gonna continue it. We're told the police department needs that bathroom in the Hunsaker barn for when they're down in that area and they have to go.
where they use
Use
the.
a facility.
Mr. Ginder, they use the porta-john,
They use the porta-john.
$1,100 a year for that.
Well, I believe that was put in place to also service the staff of recreation maintenance.
If you have ever been, if you were ever down there, you would know that it's been there for the last 10 years.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we've still been working down in that area for, you know, Bobby's down there, and there's been functions held there.
But the water line at the shallow well at the Grimm house went dry from dewatering from Whitehall Authority. They put a new well in for the neighbor, and there's certain times of the year where there's not enough water supply in.
And then take this money, instead of putting sewer and water into that old barn for no reason, let's spend the money and get it in the Grimm house. If the police want to use that as a facility down the southern, that's fine, get them keys, that's their choice. Let the chief decide what him and his men and women want to do with that.
And listen, I don't want to deny the police a rest stop, but we're not 30 miles. I mean, they have adequate facilities elsewhere in the township to relieve themselves if necessary. I will say that it was troubling. There's liquid fuels in there all over the place. And it's a barn. You know, there's no fire controls put in place. If you get in certain parts of that building, there's entrapment issues. I'm not a fire expert. I'm sure if you went down Chief Nelson, you would totally concur and agree. I think the liquid fuels need to be taken out of the building, put in a fire cabinet if equipment's going to be stored there. And they should be fueled outside. I'm sure you concur and agree. I think that's ultimately the most important part right now.
In a shed.
Yeah, in a fire locker outside. So, you know, because we all know, one spark and it could be a bad day. But I think that's necessary if they're going to continue to store, you know, grass cutting units down there and such. That should be addressed just for safety issues, if nothing else.
If I may say one other thing, just, I'm sorry.
If I could just, and also, if they're working in a venue like that, you know, I'm not an expert, but I'm a businessman and I've been through this before. They don't have, and I didn't see it, maybe it is there. I didn't see a first aid kit. I didn't see, you know, everything that pertains to a place of employment, I didn't see. So we should just address the minute details.
Well, they're not in that building now.
No, but if they are working in there, if they're servicing a lawnmower or whatever they may be doing, we have to make sure that,
That stuff shouldn't be done in that barn. There's no
Okay,
fire
well-
suppression, there's nothing like that in there.
Right,
They shouldn't be
right.
in there working
okay,
on
okay,
stuff.
fair enough.
Somebody's gonna get hurt and there's no fire suppression or anything else.
Understood, understood. Yes.
Long-term plan. I do know we've held a lot of events down there. And I mean, you know, Whitehall doesn't really have a great town square. And I mean, it would be great, you know, I'm not saying like tomorrow, maybe in the future, just something we should like incorporate into some kind of plan, you know, really revitalizing that site. Maybe getting, you know, good bathroom outdoor.
Well, that's what the
bathroom,
rec comprehensive plan's for. We
Yeah.
have to look at the whole scope and
Yeah.
the whole picture and then figure out
Yeah.
moving forward where we're gonna
Yeah.
go and what we're gonna do.
Because I mean, if that site is not the town square,
Right.
you know, it would be great if there was one. But I mean, I think that's a really good site to consider. Because right now, I mean, a lot of events are held there. We have lots of picnics there. I think the movie night was down there.
When I was down there, yeah,
There w-
it's,
they-
some
it's-
people
it's
don't go
something-
down there to appreciate it, but
Yeah, I mean,
that's-
there's, just going down the road, and I mean, I understand with the rec comprehensive plan, I mean, it's just think we gotta move on, and, you know, I'd really like to see a good town square, a good unifying location, so, this could be that.
Bill, I think in the staff, there's no appetite for moving forward with the water and sewer to the barn right now.
Okay, and then can we take that money that's in the budget and get water in that Peter Grimm house?
I don't see why not. We were planning on that anyway. So we can get water down there.
That money's in the budget, right?
We already have a tap in.
Well, if we're not going over to the barn.
Then let's get that straightened out in the Peter Grimm house when we get time. All right, moving on. Frank at Spring, the wall down on Lehigh Avenue.
Oh, there's a
I'm
question.
sorry.
Mr. Schneider. This is Commissioner. I understand.
We're storing equipment there, is that barn insured and the equipment that is in that barn insured?
Be any equipment in it now?
There's no equipment in there at all?
The lawnmowers are in
Oh,
there.
the lawnmowers are-
Sure.
Lawnmowers are in there, am I correct in saying so? So under your insurance policy, is it listed as an off-site site because it's all the equipment that's in there?
The equipment's insured, the building's insured.
It is?
Yes.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah.
I'm moving on. Frank at Spring, the wall on Lehigh Avenue, should that be rechecked for movement?
We just did that about 4 months ago. I have a report I'll be sending out to you.
Send it out. Okay, thanks, Frank.
Little settlement, that was about it.
GPS markers on the rail trail. Mayor, I have been asking for this for months. I finally called the county and we are moving on this. They're going to give us GPS points. The county will do it. And then probably budget time, we're going to have to talk about getting the signs made for all the little marks. But we are moving on it. I called the county and Mr. Mulchaney helped me down there and we're going forward.
Bill, I apologize, what is a GPS mark?
In other words, let's say you're out on the trail, somebody had a heart attack. How would you tell anybody where you're at? So the GPS little signs will be like every 10th of a mile, and it'll have some numbers on it. So you can either take a picture of it with your cell phone, or when you're on with 911, tell them I'm at this point. And then they know right where to send help to.
Okay.
Be it police, ambulance, whatever.
Okay.
Because right now, where would you tell them you're at?
I actually have a thought about that. We can sidebar at the end.
But these are things that, you know, they've been laying around for years.
And we had situations where officers couldn't find these people because they couldn't explain exactly where they were at.
Yeah, no, I understand. There had been thoughts about something about this, the Parkway with an Eagle Scout project. I mean, this could be a segue.
We got,
We could talk later.
well, no, this goes beyond an eagle because we need nice signs made up, metal ones, permanent. I could send you an email of what we got off of I think it's the Upper Saucon Trail. They have some nice ones. They're not overly big or anything.
Okay.
And with this, you can do exact mile markers and everything else. I'm not going through everything I have here. Playground. We got our lists that I requested last month except for playground and park officers. We did not get that list.
I thought Tony had sent that to you.
We did not get, did anybody get a list of the playground and park officers?
No.
Jeff, did you?
Not an updated list.
Okay. We're shy that.
We'll bring that up at the, we'll, with the new rec director.
Well, the mayor should be able to get that for us.
Yeah.
Larissa, do you have that? No?
Not the park officers, I don't.
We should get that when they turn their financials in every year, who the officers are, at the end of the year. So going in the beginning of the year, we normally get that list.
Yeah, financials don't normally get turned in until second quarter, so should request it.
All right. How about the Parkway EAC management plan, comprehensive plan? Is there any movement on that?
I actually want to direct, if Deb Rosine would like to talk about that.
Well, this has been on our EAC agenda for a couple of months now, and kind of what to do with putting together a comprehensive plan for the Parkway. And we have a great proposal from a company called RES. We met with one of their consultants, Mike McGraw, who's also an adjunct professor with Penn State, is highly qualified. And we think it's a good investment. It's more money than the EAC has in their budget, but we could do a couple of steps within the plan right now to get started, which I think would help us.
Why wouldn't they go for a grant for that, like we did for the other plans?
Well, that's a very good thought. So
Grant writer, Chad Helmer, for the township.
I would like to get some direction on this. I'm a little new to this whole grant environment
Mayor,
and
can you help
doing
her with
everything.
Sure. Yeah, and the grant can be written, when we find the right type of grant. And I'm presuming that we can get that done, and try to get the money into next year's budget.
We gotta carry some water. We gotta carry some water too.
Yeah.
We don't come in January and say, we need a new comprehensive plan, Mayor, go find the money. We need to carry the water and put it in our budget too.
Well, we have with the rec comprehensive plan, and there's another comprehensive plan.
You said for the
There's
total-
one down at Fullerton we just got done applying for and got some money, and I think we have to match them, what, 50% or something?
On the ones we have now.
50% we have to match,
yeah.
so we have carried our water there.
There are other grants that'll be 15%.
But rather than EAC wiping out their whole budget for this, I mean, this isn't drop dead, has to be done now. It's crazy for them to wipe out their whole piggy bank for this when you can apply and try and get some help for this.
Yeah, I think it would be beneficial for us to do the first step, which is to have a kickoff meeting.
Well, from what we were told before, you gotta watch what you're doing with this, or the grant won't cover anything.
Okay.
If you go too far, and that's where, I think you need to have the mayor help you with Chad Helmer, because we just went through this with the rec grant.
Reimbursement requires you do, depending on the value of it, you might have to go put a bid spec together and go out and get a bid.
Okay.
You know, just so, it's like with the recreation comprehensive plan. You say it's been stalled for all these months. It's because the state said, we want to review your outline before we turn you loose. Yes, no, we're not going to do it hodgepodge.
I'm not, yeah, I won't get into that argument with you.
Well, that's good direction. I thank you. So,
And that's all I have tonight. I'll leave this other stuff go to next month.
okay. Thank you.
A concerned citizen, a resident came to me and told me that, jeepers, I'm not the only one that has a tree on Chinese Road sitting out in the curb. So the only reason I brought that up is because if there's more than two, what's all left in the rest of the township possibly? And it's just, again, it's getting lighter earlier now, so they should be able to see these things and correct it.
Can I make a suggestion?
What's
Your lighted suit jacket, put it on the tree.
I don't want to do that because I'm afraid of getting termites. That's all I have.
Mr. Warren?
Two quick things. One I probably brought up more than once, but they're still in the design build phase of MacArthur Road signalization upgrade. And I look at every other community upgrading to coat it, paint it, colorize, more aesthetic pleasing, street light standards. Grape Street's gonna be replaced, maybe Shot Avenue, well, maybe not Shot Avenue, but there are some intersections that have been replaced or will be replaced, and I think our people that are participating in these meetings should be looking for ways to make MacArthur Road more inviting to the public. We're not the only retail center in town, and I'm seeing it happening on Hamilton Crossings, it's happening in East Allen Township, Allentown converted all theirs, and I've heard a number of reasons why, well, we can't do that, that's new technology. But I think PennDOT has an open ear if we ask, and I think we should be asking them to do that. Now, maybe that ship has sailed on this project out here. And then back in March, the middle of March, I was on business travel in Anniston, Alabama, working at a federal facility. Got done early, had a flight late that evening, and I looked up Shinbone Valley Volunteer Fire Department. And back in 2021, Whitehall Township donated a fire truck to this volunteer company in Alabama. And I was 20 minutes away, so I drove down there, found a number, made a phone call, had a visitor, got a tour of their facility. So it's kind of like in a rural area. They're taking care of the fire truck really well. They're upgrading it. They did the fuel lines. It's kind of their second due engine because some of the areas they do are rural and other areas are public water. So, and they assured me that they're all proud of they know where it came from. They're keeping the Whitehall branding to memorialize the donation. They might put their magnetic logo on for their department on a door, but they're keeping Whitehall there. So, just wanted to share that yeah, it's.
If I could suggest, maybe we'll get something in a newsletter to let people see the pictures that you took of where our truck went.
I mean, on their premises, they have a barbecue pit. They have a tornado safe container that it's open 24/7, that if there's a warning that people could leave their houses, it's weird. But, all right, that's all I have.
Okay, the only thing I have, Mayor, there's a request made by numerous people. When we hire, and this doesn't have to be every employee of the township, but a department head or a bureau chief, for instance, we have a new rec director now. If somehow we can get them, or give them the ability to meet the board, ask them to come in on a workshop or a regular meeting night. We've had a lot of turnover recently. I mean, myself and Mr. Ginder came in and we met, our wonderful new HR director and different department heads, but the board doesn't know.
We can do that next month if
Yeah,
you want. We
yeah.
have a bunch of new people.
Right, and I just think that, mini meet and greet, just to get to know these people, to let them know who we are, because, and it was unfortunate with COVID, because, a lot of things didn't happen. There were a lot of police officers that didn't get badged, but I think it's important that at least we can see what each other looks like.
Do you want to do it at a meeting, or do you want to have something here?
It doesn't matter to me. Whatever the wishes of the board are, it's easier because everybody's here on a specific night instead of, rescheduling a night because everybody's
And it's
busy.
the only time you can be there without two other people with you,
Right.
so,
Yeah, exactly.
okay.
All righty. That's all I have.
As you
Yeah.
noted,
The mayor had a
Unlocked out.
computer problem and I got a note. So we're going to defer the mayor's report for tonight and we're going to move on. Madam Treasurer?
Good evening. I believe everybody got my treasurer's report. Again, if anybody has any questions, please. What I want to report for March, from March 1st to March 31st, which was actually 23 working days, the staff, which is 3 tax clerks, received and receipted over 5,523 transactions, and we are up to date with all the taxes. The efficiency in this office is unbelievable. I would love the clerks to be able to come here and have them personally thanked for all their hard work, because it's an amazing job that they're doing. $3.2 million was receipted for March. This included 88 occupancy permits, moving permits, zoning permits, 93 business licenses, 242 business taxes, 2,386 garbage bills, and 1,970 township real estate, and 2 school tax bills. So I think they're doing an amazing job, and I'm happy to say that I think the Whitehall Tax Office is back on key to make this township proud. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
The audit, I wasn't here at last month's meeting, but we aren't doing a financial audit of the treasurer's office.
That's correct, and I'm
Okay.
glad you brought that up.
Because I thought we were giving that, this year we went to a new bank. We went from a dozen accounts to a single account, that at least there would be, you know, somebody attesting that we did everything right, so that 2 years down the road, somebody doesn't say, hey, you never did an audit when you transferred banks and you consolidated accounts. So I don't know, I thought when I made the motion to do an audit, that I thought this first year would actually be a full-blown audit to, or at least more of a financial audit to, especially given that we transferred banks, consolidated accounts, but I don't know how others.
Already check on that.
I was not part of the conversation,
Right.
so I probably missed key points.
What was thought to be best, and the school district agreed with this through our negotiations, is to do what they call a SOC audit, which is a policy and procedures and internal controls audit. Presently now, it's a readiness preparation phase where, and Tina can better explain exactly what they're doing right now. They're reviewing all of the policies and procedures that are in place to be followed up with on-site visits to actually see what's going on. From that, they determine when the township is ready to go ahead and do the full SOC audit, which Berkheimer does that. All of these major companies that are financial places do these audits, which are policy and procedures based. Before we go ahead and go into the minutia of dollars and cents, we wanted to make sure our internal controls were tight and that the SOC audit passes and we're not having to do any kinds of revamping of the way that the office is run. And so far, it's been very productive. So that's where we are at this time.
But you anticipate probably next fiscal year we'll have a true financial audit done.
I think you will have the SOC audit performed. There is auditing that is done by the township auditor.
Right.
On the monies coming in, what's been transferred and deposited into our accounts. So we have that backup done by our auditors. So
Is that the township auditor able to look at the treasurer's disbursements accounts that were consolidated and moved from one bank to another? And just say, yeah, thumbs up, it was done?
Yes, he actually, well, his staff, there was, I think, 2 women, and,
Yep.
and
All right.
he actually took my books and said, what did you transfer from Fulton to TD with the various
Exactly,
accounts?
that's what I was getting at, you know, that
and
one,
all of her figures jive with the township's records when the bank transfer was cut and the ties were severed with Fulton Bank.
Good enough?
That's good, that's what I wanted to hear.
Anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second?
I'll second.